The title of worst weapon in the game is constantly changing. As the patches go through, we've seen weapons like Greatsword go from the best weapon in the game to be literally unplayable. Not only in a competitive level, in a basic level, this weapon went from being the best to literally the worst. I've experienced metas also where there's not a worst weapon. There's always weapons that are more viable than the rest, especially in the competitive scene, but there's not a competitively speaking worst weapon. In this case, in the actual state of the game, I can say that there's a worst weapon by far. This weapon used to be not only one of the best, but literally the best in several patches. This weapon also always dominated the competitive scene. It could be 1v1 or it could be 2v2. And as you can guess, I'm talking about Hammer. This weapon, the classic double boat var in 2v2, the classic boat var W in 1v1, it also could be Teros, it also could be even Sentinel in the Qatar's meta. It's very common to see a Hammer character dominating this scene. Well, until this weapon got basically fucked. I'm sorry, this weapon got fucked. It got destroyed. As sword and other weapons, Delight is basically the most important attack on Hammer. This attack can lead to Delight Tear, Delight Recovery, I don't know, Delight fucking Dare. There's a lot of combos with this attack. And well, they basically fucked this attack, okay? Delight didn't work anymore, as it would be extremely inconsistent and the recovery frames on it would be crazy. Literally, you couldn't move after like doing this attack. You would just stay still, like you got fucking, I don't know, Zariel sight-sigged. You cannot move. You're just like a fucking statue on there. Not only that, but before this nerf came in, they also nerfed Nair, making the Nair drift, like the amount of distance you can move with it, way shorter. They also nerfed Dare and they also nerfed Recovery. Well, this one was quite justified, making that now Recovery, when you do it, it has like 1 frame or 2 frames slower, something like that. It makes attack slower, that's it. But basically this weapon stayed on the meta, stayed in the top 8s right after all these nerfs, which led to this weapon getting super nerfed and yeah, getting fucked. This weapon completely disappeared off the top 32, especially in the World Championship. You couldn't see one Hammer Legend in the 1v1 brackets. Not one, okay? The highest placement a Hammer player got was 49th, and it was Vezaru, an EU player. I love him, by the way. So this period of time where Hammer was basically unplayable at competitive level, and even at, let's say, the lowest level, this weapon was terrible. Okay, this weapon was straight up terrible. And very recently we're starting to get the first Hammer buffs. Finally, this weapon is getting slowly playable. Right now, it still is the worst weapon in the game, even though Delight got buffed. Of course, it isn't a gigantic buff, it isn't a buff that will make this weapon good out of nowhere. This weapon is still the worst, okay? There's no chance there's a weapon that is as inconsistent and as risky to play as Hammer in the current meta. But now this weapon is playable. After this little buff, after this little silly buff in the Delight, this weapon is now playable at a competitive level and at least at a basic level, but that still means that this weapon sucks. This weapon is still terrible, it's still the worst one, especially in a competitive level where weapons like Guitars or Scythe are present. It's almost impossible to play this weapon. You'll still see, well, recently in Valencia we could see Delta beating Use on Teros. That is a crazy accomplishment for us, the Hammer gang. So I'm just saying, Hammer is now playable, but it is still a terrible weapon. I want to listen to your opinions. Please drop your comments. I will be reading them all because I'm pretty sure there's not more than 10. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in my next video. Bye bye.